PWCC is a great way to sell your sports cards. If you're looking for a way to support the Cajun Cardboard YouTube channel, consider using the promo code Cajun, all caps, CAJUN, when you're selling your cards on the PWCC marketplace. Hey guys, Brian with Cajun Cardboard coming at you from the great state of Louisiana, and we've got another episode where we're talking about the MJ hierarchy, which is I keep forgetting the number, Josh. I think it's 324. I think I got it right this time. The whole first episode I was saying there was 29 on every picture. There's really 27. I think it's 324. Michael Jordan inserts and parallels from the 90 with a whole bunch of asterisks and rules. We've got the great Josh Dawson at Northeast Sports Card joining us again. Josh, thanks for joining the show as always and going down this long journey with me.
Yep, absolutely. It's fun.
We talked in last episode about Tier 1. Tier 1 was 27 of the biggest and baddest, the Sasquatch types of cards, the cards that lurk in the shadows, the cards that you may have to cross an ocean to go find, or a card that maybe you only see once a year in Atlantic City or Chicago or in a very special collection. We talked about the ones that we had. We talked about the ones that we wish we had and we want. And we're going to basically rinse and repeat and do the same thing today. But today we're talking about Tier 2. This is going to be a two-part deal. We're going to do today's video is going to be only Tier 2 and only the cards that you see on your screen. There are 27, as we said. There is another complete panel of 27 additional Tier 2 cards that we're going to get to in another video. So today, just these 27. But this is more than we need. I mean, this could give us 5 hours of content. We're going to try to keep it to 45 minutes to an hour. And it's basically we're going to do the same kind of thing that we did in Tier 1, except I think it's going to be a little bit more fun because we have more of these cards than we did in Tier 1. And we're getting to those types of cards where, if somebody's listening to this, Josh, and they say, hey, I'm interested in that card. These are the types of cards, not all of them, but some of them you can go find right now on eBay, right now on PWCC plug, on Golden, on Heritage, on Robert Edwards, or maybe even on social media, on Instagram or Facebook or something like that. As always, probably the easiest thing, and people's jaws are about to hit the floor. Let me just go ahead and ask you the question, the elephant in the room. How many, Josh, of these 27 cards do you own in your collection?
Well, unlike Tier 1, where I only had a small portion, I do have most of these. I have 25 of the 27.
Okay.
I have 25 of these, missing 2. One's huge. The other ones I can find. I just haven't. I'm kind of wanting a higher grade, so I've been waiting for it.
We again, now that answers the question of why is Josh Dawson on the channel talking with you guys about these cards? Well, there's your answer. Josh is on here because he's got all of these cards, or at least knows about all of them. Missing 2. I know one you're missing is this 1998 Skybox Thunder Raves, Super Rave, serial number to 25. So this one's unique because most Super Raves are numbered to 50. This one's numbered to 25. Sold 3 times since the year 2016, most recently in December for about 13 grand. It's a card you just don't see very often. The other Super Raves are numbered to 50, or the other Super Raves numbered to 50. This was numbered to 25. A little bit further down, we'll talk about regular Raves, which, for as far as I know, are serial number to 399, I think. Right. But we'll talk about those as we get a little bit further into the hierarchy. The other card you don't have, correct me if I'm wrong, is the 98 Greats.
Yep, it's a 97 platinum medallion. Yep.
Yeah. So let's just start left to right. Let's start talking a little bit about the cards. The first card is a card that almost everybody, Josh, is going to recognize, and that's the Noise Boys. And it is die cut. A lot of people, you can't tell if you've never held the card in your hand because it just looks like a black background, but it is die cut. Am I wrong? Isn't it on almost like a
lenticular, like you like?
Yeah. So Josh has got it on
like
the screen.
Lenticular, you can kind of see through the Z's there.
Yeah.
So it is die cut around the edges over here, along as well as through the Z's, as you can see. So,
but it's not a paper card. Isn't it almost like a what's the texture that I'm thinking of? Like the titanium?
Lenticular. Yeah. It's kind of like the jambalaya print, right?
Is it flimsy though? Isn't the card like kind of flimsy?
It is different. Yeah, it is a bit thin.
Okay.
So obviously with the black borders, that's what makes it hard to grade, right?
Yeah.
Obviously die cut as well, but the black borders are what makes it
Black edges,
really
black corners, sharp
prone to
black
chipping.
turns, and then look, how many cards do we have on here? 27. Count how many cards feature Jordan in his black uniform. By my count, there are 3, and that's always like a cool little extra caveat, right? When you get Jordan wearing the black version of the Bulls jersey, and so you see the die, the die cut Noise Boys, the die cut above, and then the BAMs right here. Those are the 3. Those are the 3 that you see. The next 6 cards, Josh, are all platinum medallions. Explain platinum medallions to the people out there. Every single one of them is serial numbered, I think, correct?
Yep, they are.
And we've got, let me do this again, make sure I get this right. Again, I've got the spreadsheet prepared. Again, double check me. Everybody take a picture of this with your phone or screenshot it. I want to make sure I get the years right, the pack odds, and or the serial numbers correctly. But these platinum medallions are serial numbered to 100, 99, 100. And then I don't think the 1996 platinum medallions are serial numbered.
None of them are serial numbered in 96.
Yeah, okay, so for those, I've got the pack odds. And when you talk about pack odds, oh my gosh, look at the pack odds. 1 in 15,000, 1 in 27,000, 1 in 27,000 for cards 5, 6, and 7. Now, remember, when I'm sharing these pack odds with you folks, we're talking about to pull the actual Jordan. We're not talking about pulling any platinum medallion. We're talking about this platinum medallion. And so this one, and this one on your screen, the last 3 right here, those are not serial numbered. The first 3 are 100, serial number to 100 or 99. Which one of those platinum medallions do you like the most?
I like the one on the far right the most, the 96, where he's kind of going up. In the, that dark one. Yeah, it's my favorite one because the shimmer and the wording, Michael Jordan, Chicago Bulls, it just shines really well. It's obviously it's not numbered like we said. So it also depends, to get to your point on the pack odds, not only is it how rare the insert set is, but then how large the set is, right? So if it's a 5-card set, it's much more attainable to get the Jordan specifically out of that set than if it's a 20-card set. So that's what drives the pack odds to those astronomical numbers you mentioned.
Because it's the whole freaking set. It's a base card you're looking at. And so it may be one, and I can't remember what it was, 1 in 400 packs, but there's like 200 cards. So I can't remember the numbers, but the multiplication adds up to, and there you go. And what's that graded?
That's a 10.
Of course, it's a 10. You just like that bedazzled lettering. I know what that is.
Yeah, it's the bedazzled lettering, and I think most of these do have the bedazzled lettering.
Yeah,
or they have a different background, like the first one there. That's probably my second favorite.
That's my favorite, Josh.
Yep, that's my second favorite. And again, the words Michael Jordan have that shimmer to them, right? So
yeah,
you can't really tell.
Those platinum medallions are badass, man. They really are. They're super cool. I've got a picture here that I'm going to share with you. So here, I went ahead and did this to kind of make it easy for the people. These are the ones that I own. The ones that are X'd, I own. The ones that are not X'd, I do not own. And so this is actually a really recent pickup. I picked up the second of the platinum medallions, the number 85P from 1998. I picked it up in a PSA 8. As you know, I'm kind of collecting Jordans and PSA 10s and BGS 9.5s for the high-end grade snob in me, and then also PSA 8s. And this is one of those cards, and we talked about this, obviously, when we did the first video, is that some of these cards you just got to look past, whether it's BGS or PSA, look past whether it's a 10 or a 7. You just get it when you can get it. And with, a serial number to 100, serial number to 99, and or, 1 in 27,000 pack odds, just get the card, man. Just make sure it's real and get the card. You can worry about upgrading later and defray your cost and maybe do a trade to uptick your grade if you're really into it like we are. But like if you can pull any of these platinum medallions in any grade, it's just like a huge win, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I've got a confession. I don't like these cards, dude. I don't like this. They strike me as they're retro cards. I know they're during his playing years. I know they're serial number 61, dude. I just don't love them, Josh. Is something wrong with me? Why don't those cards feel like, of all the cards on this, the 2 cards that I least desire are these 2 cards? What's wrong with me? Is something wrong with me?
I mean, you got to like the 1961 set first.
I do.
I mean, that you have to like the 1961 set. To, I guess, understand the layout and, why it's not more flashy. I do like the fact that there's a refractor finish to the top of both of them. The one on the right, the green one, the picture's not great, right? It's dark, it's hard to see. It's the same picture for both. One's just blown up versus the other.
Never noticed that. Wow. Never noticed that. Never paid attention. That's how old I am. No, that's wild. Yeah, you're right. Huh.
Yeah, one's just blown up, the other one's further back, right? But they are very rare, and that's why they belong on this list. I mean, there's 61 total copies of each.
Agreed.
And they shine, and they do have a refractory type finish. So, that's the top of them just shimmer. And then of course they're numbered on the back horizontally. They're numbered to 61 made. So I think that's the reason they're so desirable.
There's no hiding the centering on these either, because you've got four what are expected to be, or at least what were intended to be, equidistant and equally sized borders surrounding it, almost like traditional, like we used to collect in the 80s, where every card had a border, right? And it was like very clear whether it was centered or not. These, there's nowhere to hide that. But isn't the biggest problem on these cards, correct me if I'm wrong, there's only 61 of them, and a lot of them have refractor lines, do they not?
Yeah,
and they're vertical,
they do.
And they're
they do.
unmistakable.
Yeah, I have refractor line in this one, the pink or orange, whatever you want to call it.
Here, let me try to get you. Don't let me forget the screen share back, but show me. Yeah, let's see.
And then this one does not have the refractor line, so this
no refractor line there. Show me the other one with the refractor line, because I want the people to see what we're talking about. It's unmistakable.
It's got it right through the bulls. It's hard to see on this one, but
yeah, it's hard to see with the glare.
Yeah, but it just it's actually a vertical horizontal line.
All the way through, top to bottom, right?
Vertical all the way through. Yep.
Yep.
So that's what makes it difficult. But that's a key piece to the next card on the next page, the next row too. That's probably the biggest issue with that card is the
cut above.
Yep.
Cut above. Okay.
That card is extremely hard to grade because of the refractor line. Obviously, it also has the hanging chads, whatever you want to call them, the little rough edges on the tips of the saw.
Yep.
But beyond that, the reason you don't find PSA grades them very hard is a refractor line.
Here's the deal with this card. I can't. I know you got to look at the saw blades to tell what's real and fake, and this is going to fall into that category of there's a lot of fakes out there, and it has something to do with the saw blades and not necessarily the tips of the saw blades, but maybe the cut ends of the saw blades.
Yep, they should be flat like the one you see. Whereas it's perfectly rounded to get to the next wave.
Yeah,
that's the fake ones. Right?
So there should be a little bit of a. It's not a perfect circular pattern, right? And so mine's real. Please tell me mine's real.
Yes, it is.
Okay, good. That's
the only thing. And I'll be honest, this is probably tied for my favorite card in this picture. It's just something I've always loved. I had 4 of them at one point in different grades. It's to me, it's great. I wish they would have done it more like the baseball, where they have the saw cut at the top and the bottom.
Yeah.
But there's no. I mean, like you said, black jersey. The picture's great. I just love this card. It's this and the high voltage 500 are my favorite 2 cards on this page.
It's called a cut above. If we wanted saw blades on the bottom, it would say a cut above and below. And so we're gonna go with them just doing what they're told. It is an awesome card. It's 1 in 2,880 pack odds, so it's not an easy pull, and it's certainly not an easy grade in gym condition.
But to your point, you can find this card. You can find it.
You can find this card. Yeah,
you can't find it in a Gem 10, but you can find this card on eBay.
Look. Here's the deal. In folks that are listening and folks that are familiar with Jordans will know this. Like 1 in 2,880 packs. I don't advise you to go bust boxes and try to pull it. Right? That sounds astronomical and impossible. But trust me when I tell you, for instance, if we're comparing 2,880 pack odds, Josh, to the platinum medallions, 1 in 15,000, 1 in 27,000. Some of these other ones on here, Linchpins, 1 in 3,600. The Intimidation Nation, 1 in 3,600. Platinum Portraits, 1 in 4,320. Some of these pack odds are significantly worse. So I know 1 in 2,880 sounds insurmountable and impossible, but you, just like Josh said, you can find this card. Like I can go find this card right now. Now, here's the issue with eBay right now is that a lot of cards like this have 2021 prices. And even cards like this have come back a little bit, right? They've come back to the Okay, they've regressed a little bit. We're finding the floor. They've come back to the mean. And so I think it's a great opportunity to buy Jordan stuff right now. That's me personally. Of course, I would say that even if cards were still running like they were in 2021, but because I'm a long-term hold, right? And you're a long-term hold. We know that.
Yeah.
It's not like we're trying to flip Jordan cards. The next one, Josh, is going to look familiar, right? Because in tier 1, the last video we did, the first episode of this MJ hierarchy countdown, we talked about the molten metal fusion titanium. This is just the molten metal fusion, serial number to 250. Card looks similar, same kind of pinhole die cut silhouette. It's kind of hard to tell on the card right here. You may have one in your hand. Well, I know you have one in your hand. But this one's serial number to 250 instead of 40, right?
Yeah. So again, you can kind of see through it. It is hard to tell with the video and stuff, but yeah, it's it's all pinholed through the card with his face. Even the word Jordan is all pinholed through. So it's really really interesting. There you can kind of see through the card.
Josh, where's the 250 on this one? In the other one, it was kind of laser cut into the card. This one is not laser cut in the card. It's just serial number. Okay, so it's just the typical traditional stamped serial number. Okay.
Yep. Serial numbered on his kind of next to his head on the back.
Yeah. I can't look past it. Like this card that you're showing right now and the platinum portraits. Can you hold up your platinum portrait together?
The first one?
No, like just the regular. No, the platinum portrait.
A platinum portrait. Hold on, let me see.
This one.
Yep.
See, do you see the similarity? Like they're both laser cut. They're both the same texture. They're both the same color. I like the shine on the platinum portrait a little bit better, honestly.
Yeah,
Which one do you value more between the fusion and the platinum portrait?
I like this one because the face is so much bigger. You can see through it, right?
It's a great set.
It's got so much going for it in terms of like aesthetics when you really get it in hand. Between the shine on the name and the cut through the entire, face there.
Yeah.
The whole thing is made up of tiny little holes. It's really hard to tell, but it's really awesome, amazing how they did the technology back in the day,
Yeah. That is an absolutely awesome card. Let me see if I can share mine. I don't have the PSA 10, of course. I went the poor man's route, so I got the 9.5 here. But you can really tell PWCC, honestly, I'll be honest with you, they do a freaking awesome job of taking pictures, And there's an epic picture of it. All of this image is, die cut punched into the card. It's not ink. And that's what Josh was talking about. And it's the reverse on the back, right? Just a simple, elegant, just awesome card. The closest thing, and I don't know how much ultramodern you do. I know you move ultramodern wax and you do open a little bit ultramodern, but the ultramodern card that reminds me of the platinum portraits. You know what I'm about to say right now? The blank slate. The blank slate.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, the blank slate reminds me of it just because it's that gray and it lets the picture do the talking. Now, I know it's not die cut and it's not intricate and it's not like this, and the pack odds certainly aren't the same, but it just reminds me because it's like, here it is. We've got this gray canvas and we've got this image, and it speaks for itself. So that kind of reminds me. What were you going to say? What card?
The new 2011 Skybox Metal came out with a portraits like this, and it's all die cut with little pinholes just like this.
Okay.
It actually has the words Michael Jordan around the edges, also die cut out of it. So there's a new modern version of this, not playing years, obviously.
Yeah.
But they did redo this card with pinholes in the new Skybox Metal.
My brain is so full of Jordan card information right now that I might be wrong on this, but is there not another year of platinum portrait coming right behind this? Is it 98 or was it 96? But there's another Michael Jordan platinum portrait, and we're going to get to it as we get further down in the tiers.
Yeah.
And it's much easier pack odds. It doesn't have nearly the cachet or the iconicism that this card have, if that's a word. But I remember there's another Michael Jordan platinum portraits playing years that we're going to get to. Is that ringing a bell?
There is, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
I can't remember the year. It's either a year before or a year after. And it wasn't cheap in gym condition, I will say that. But it's certainly not on the level of this card. So we're not going to see that other one on tier 2. We'll get to that one in tier 3 or 4. And I just can't remember. But we will get to it and we will talk about it. But just realize if you're searching for that card, remember there's 2 years of it. Next is the Star Power Supreme. And don't even get me started on this. Look, I'm going to show you a horrible, sad story. I had a PSA 9 that was absolutely beautiful. and I don't know what I was doing. It was beautiful color, and I ended up moving it for a higher graded copy, and I'm going to show you, and then I'm going to let you find, and you already know without even looking at the card, where the most common flaw of this card is. Bingo. That top left foil, that light blue foil, you see how this is dinged up? And look at the grade. I think it happens in the slab, Josh. I think it's so fine and so delicate and so susceptible to chipping that it happens inside the slab. It's unmistakable. It is a damaged card, but it is in a PSA 10 slab. Everything else about the card looks freaking awesome. It looks fantastic. And even on the back, the foil's fine. But on the front, I mean, there's no way PSA would miss that. Nobody's going to miss that. So I'm guessing this happened post-slabbing.
Yeah, and it's not really foil that's missing. There's like a extra layer of almost like cellophane, if you want to call it that. That actually just peels a little bit.
Show me yours. Show us yours.
Mine has a little bit of the similarity on the top right up here.
Yeah, I see it. Just a touch. Not like mine where it's kind of like a hair you can see, but just
you see like it looks almost shiny, like refractory right there.
Yeah.
Well, mine has the same thing. What's interesting, my kids pointed out, you can't really see it here, but the Jordan in red is facing you, right?
Yep.
And they're like, okay, well, when you turn the card over, he's going to be the back of his head, but no, he's facing you again.
I know.
So it's the exact same image facing you twice, and you're like, how did that work?
Yeah.
So the kids found that very interesting, but I like the fact that it's a see-through card, and on top of that, it's obviously die cut around the top, like we talked about. So.
And look, here's for those of you watching at home, you're going to see some more, right? There's the Star Power Plus, which is green, and it's an insert parallel. And then there's this Star Power Supreme, which is significantly more rare, also an insert parallel. And Josh, why don't you explain for the people, just, some of the new beginners, some of the people that are just getting into Jordan cards, or maybe just getting into collecting cards, period. Tell them the difference between an insert and a parallel, and how something could be an insert parallel or a parallel insert, however you want to say
it. Actually, you're probably better off with that than I am.
Okay, so let me just give it a shot, and I'm going to put this in layman terms. An insert card is a card that is not in every single pack. It is not part of the original base set. So it'll be a separate it's almost a separate set of its own, and there is a chance that you could pull one of those cards because they are inserted into packs along with all of the base cards.
Correct.
A parallel card is going to be a card that closely resembles a base card, but there is something a little bit unique or different about it. In other words, it might be die cut, or it might be a gold medallion, or a Scoring Kings Plus, or a what am I forgetting, Josh? Or a Rave, or a Super Rave, or a PMG, right? A PMG is a parallel card. It's a parallel. Yeah, it's just a parallel. It's not a parallel insert. It's just a parallel. What you're looking at on your screen, and here I can blow it up. This Star Power Supreme is an insert because there's not a Star Power insert. It's not in the base set, and it's not in every pack. So you got to pull that insert. Okay, you got to pull a Star Power to have an insert. And then within the insert, there are there are two parallels, the Star Power Plus and then the Star Power Supreme that you're looking at. So a card can be an insert or a parallel, or it can be both together, which is a parallel insert. But I wanted to show you. So we got 2 of the PSA 10s out of the 15 in the world. That's pretty good. I'll virtual high five you right here. But 15 PSA 10s, 16 BGS 9.5s. That's 31 in the world. The card's only been graded 174 times between the 2 big companies, PSA and BGS. And we don't know, Josh, how many of those are actual crack and resubs. Who knows? But not a very easy card to find. Let's get back to our list. Okay. The next one needs no introduction. Josh, when I did these Explore the Card episodes. I don't know if you ever watched those.
Yep.
But I'll do a deep dive and a detailed look into the history of and the current status of and the pricing and the aesthetics of a Michael Jordan parallel or insert. The very first Explore the Card episode I did on my channel, which was one of the first videos I ever did on my channel, was this card, the 1993 Finest Refractor #1, Jordan's first ever refractor card. Tell us about that card, why it's special, what's tough about this card, what you like about it.
Obviously, it's 1993 is the first year Finest made refractors, both for baseball and for basketball. So refractors, it didn't say the word refractor. You couldn't tell that it was a refractor. You had to learn what a refractor meant. And this picture, I couldn't tell it's refractor necessarily. You have to have the card and turn it in the light to see the rainbow finish.
Let's get yours. Let's get yours on screen. Okay.
Yeah, so
you can definitely tell when you move it. Yeah, 100%. Hey, Josh, I get that question all the time. Is it base? Is this a base or is this a refractor? You see kind of newer collectors asking those questions, even in ultramodern. It was even harder in 1993 because they didn't print the word refractor on the back. They didn't print the word prism, obviously, because it didn't exist on the back, which they do for people now. So you're right, man.
The back looks identical to the other version, right? Identical. To the non-refractor version. It doesn't say refractor anywhere. You just have to turn it in the light and see that little shine.
Yeah.
And that was what was difficult. A lot of people for years, for 93, 94, even into 95, they were having trouble telling if it was a refractor, to the point where Topps came out and put the word refractor or atomic refractor on the back of the card to help people identify them. This version did not come with a peel. They started doing peeling after this. So they had a little film that went over the top with the peel that you could peel off and make the card, without the writing to protect it. This card was only made this way without the peel. So it came out of packs just like this. My story with this card is I met somebody in 97, 98 when cards were still inexpensive. And I remember meeting in a parking lot of a shopping mall, and he wanted $500 in cash. And I was like, oh my God, $500 is crazy for a card. And I saved up all my pennies to buy this card for $500 in a Gem 10.
Unbelievable. That's terrible because I've got on our screen the value of it right now, which is around 20 grand, 21, 22 grand. That is bananas. There's only 41 of them in the world in PSA 10. There are 37 9.5. So again, I like to look at this threshold, Josh. I like to pick up the Gem Jordan cards, especially when there's less than 100 combined between PSA and BGS. That's kind of my number. So I'm always looking at that when I do those episodes on my channel. If there's less than 100 gems in the world, to me, that's just not enough. Right now, some of these cards we're looking at, there's like one. Well, we talked about one, that there's only one, and you showed it. By the way, we just sort of glazed over the fact that you have the only cut above PSA 10 in the world. Am I wrong on that?
No, that's right.
Okay, show that card again, just so the people can see it. That's to me, that's super special. There's only one of them in the world. You're going to show it. I'm going to pull it up. Big time, man.
Yeah, and this one is void of the refractor line, so that's what kind of helps it a lot.
And here's the card that Josh is holding up, just so y'all can see it better here. That's it. And that one on the screen, that's Josh's. Like, Card Ladder had to use Josh's copy for the picture because it's the only one in existence. And so, again, let me just stress, you're talking about a Pop 1 card. If we look at the Pop report, 344 have been graded between the two companies, one PSA 10. 29 9.5s, which I'm a proud owner of, but one PSA 10 in the world. Josh, they think it's worth $12,000. I have to vehemently disagree with that.
I wouldn't sell it for that. Let's just leave it.
Is this you right here in 2015 that picked it up for $12.25? I'm guessing.
Yeah.
It has to be, right?
Yeah. This card actually I did buy graded. I did not grade this card. Most of my PC I've graded myself with PSA way back in the day. This card I bought graded because I had like 3 different 9s and I really wanted a 10. Didn't know it was a Pop 1. Just upgraded to the 10, sold my 9s, and I'm a pack rat, so I've held on to it forever.
0.91% gem rate. You got to be kidding me. 0.91. Now that is a card that I need to feature in Sasquatch Jordans, right? 0.91 is paltry nuts. Okay, so next card here, right? This is, again, a great time to remind the people, these are not, and we've talked about some rare cards, but the 93 Finest Refractor is not that rare. The card in gem condition is pretty rare, but the card's not that rare. The next card, Scoring Kings, is not that rare. And this is a great time, Josh, to remind people that there's 4 criteria to get into this MJ hierarchy. There is scarcity, there is value, there is aesthetics, which is subjective as it gets, and that's just me coming in with my personal opinion. And then there is demand. And demand is a huge one. And actually, we got 3 cards on this row that are not rare, but belong in here simply because of demand. Because if somebody put together their list of the top 25 Jordan cards and they were starting from scratch, Josh, imagine you're in a marathon and you're like, I'm going to complete this Jordan marathon. One of the first or three of the first cards you'd pick up along this marathon in the first mile of your marathon would be the Finest Refractor, the Scoring Kings Ultra, and then if you scroll a little bit to the right here, it's the 86 Fleer sticker. Those three cards would be sort of near the beginning, and for that reason, I think demand pushes those cards all the way up here into tier 2. So that's just a little explanation behind why I put them in here. If you did this thing independently on your own, do you agree? Would you have put those three cards in this second tier of 54 cards?
I would have. And I know we've gone back and forth. We've kind of built this. We've had some debates back and forth about what belongs where. Yeah. Listen, everyone's going to disagree or agree that different cards should be in different tiers. That's what makes this fun. It's not set in stone. We're doing the best we can, being knowledgeable about Jordan cards to think, to put cards where we believe they should fall based on all of those things. So aesthetically, I wouldn't put the 86 Fleer here, but based on demand and price and everything else, I think obviously it does belong in the tier 2.
Agree. And the fact that it's rookie season makes a difference. I mean, all these things, it's an amalgamation of all of the criteria, right? And demand, for me, demand is a humongous part of it, because remember, the purpose behind me starting this project in the first place was I wish in 2019, when I started collecting Jordan 90 stuff, I wish there had been some type of guideline, some type of checklist. All I had was, the other Josh's Cardboard Chronicles. I had the House of Jordans, and then I had this dude, PSA collector, who would say the top 30 Jordan cards that sold blah, blah, blah on eBay. And that's what I'd listen to and watch those videos during COVID over and over and over. And I created my own little checklist. I wish I'd had something like this because it would have really kickstarted me, and I would have had a little bit better focus as far as what the hell do I do next in the Jordan world. Because if you don't have a focus and you don't narrow your focus and write things down, man, it can eat you up. There's a lot of Jordan cards out there, and you can go in a lot of different directions. You can make some huge mistakes too, Josh.
Yeah, and I'm a visual person, so for me, this is aesthetically just pleasing to have all the cards pictured here.
It is.
Right? You can say, well, I've heard of that card, 61 classic something, but then to see it, you're like, oh, it's not that exciting. Or, vice versa. You can say, I've heard of this high voltage card, but that 500, what the hell is that? That's so beautiful. Like, what the heck's going on there? Yeah. So for me, I was working off a PSA set registry, list of cards, but never saw the card. So for me to find 2 for me, 0 for you, I'm like, I don't know what that looks like. Yeah. So, to go out and actually have an image, again, I'm a visual person, to see these, you can say, I like that one, and that one, regardless of price or anything else or demand. Aesthetically, I just want that card because it's so pretty.
I like working in that direction too, and that's part of the reason behind this project. I like seeing what you like, then going to the spreadsheet and figuring out, okay, what is it that I like? I don't like the other way around. I don't like seeing, oh, this card sold for $8,000. What does it look like? I don't like going that direction. I don't think that's the direction we should go, and I'm not telling anybody how to collect. And by the way, this goes without saying, Josh and I are specifically definitely not saying buy a certain card or buy these cards first or only buy these cards. No, if anybody knows either one of us, we're trying to buy all these cards, right? And it's not a pump and dump, because we're not dumping. We're just pumping. We talk about Jordan cards all day. We talk about Jordan cards in group chats. We talk about it in direct messages. We talk about it on when we hit the record button. We're always going to hype these cards, but we're not trying to sell any particular card on somebody or inflate the value of our cards, because to be quite honest with you, I am trying to bring more Jordan collectors into the world because I think it's important. And it's brought me so much passion and fun and joy in the hobby. And I've met so many incredible friends that I would love people to come along on the same kind of journey. But by no means, obviously, I guess it goes without saying, I'm not, selling any of the cards on this, picture right here. It's not like I'm doing this to sell any of these, right? I'm trying to get all 27, not go the other way around. So,
and again, these are in no particular order to what we said in the first video.
Correct.
Right? So there's no rhyme or reason why Noise Boys is in the top left and Test Refractors in the bottom right. We just, this is a grouping. In fact, when we get to the second page of tier 2, episode 2 of tier 2, again, none of those are less valuable or more valuable or more desired or less desired than this tier 2.
That's right.
So that's something to keep in mind. I mean, again, I go by aesthetics. They say if you walk into a art museum, the first picture you stop and look at, that's what you're attracted to.
Yeah.
Right. So that's kind of where I look at this page. I'm like, what catches my eye the most?
This is half of tier 2. Keep that in mind, people. We talked about it, but like the fact of the matter is, the next video we do, the last card that we talk about on the second picture of tier 2 might be the card that was next to be into tier 1. There's no rhyme or reason whatsoever within each tier. We didn't want to hyper focus on that. We just want to put them in here and give y'all like a pool, right? A pool to work with. But getting back, let's keep going. We're about halfway through. Getting back to the 93 Scoring Kings. Josh, when I think of the 2 foundational Michael Jordan inserts, not parallels, but inserts from the 90s. Like if someone came to me and said, I've never collected Michael Jordan, I watch your channel, I love it, which 2 inserts should I buy first? Again, I would say A, buy the ones that you think look the best. But if you're asking my personal opinion, the first 2 that I bought were the 2 most foundational, in my opinion. Scoring Kings, Beam Team 92. Those are the 2 to me. Those are the 2 that I would start with to sort of lay that foundation. Then you start building your Jordan house up from there. What do you think about the Scoring Kings 93?
I agree with you on Scoring Kings. I'd replace the Beam Team with the 93 refractor.
Fair. No, that's a parallel. But yeah, you're right. That's definitely in the conversation. There's a few of them out there, right? We could get to 6 or 8. Not incredibly expensive. Like I can get this Scoring Kings in a decent grade for 3 figures, right? I can do the same thing with the finest refractor 8's about $1,000, but you could get it for lower if you wanted to buy a raw or in a 7 or a BGS 7 or something. And then the same thing with the Beam Team. You could pick up a Beam Team PSA 8 for like $300 or something like that. Last time I checked. So one caveat, the one place that I actually have you beat in collecting cards, this is very rare. I'm going to get to pump my chest and beat my drum right here with you on the channel, because normally I just kind of crawl in a fetal position when you start showing your PSA 10s, is that I've got the whole Scoring King set in a PSA 10. So that's the one thing I'm super proud of, right? So after the 86 Fleer PSA 10 set, which I no longer have, sad story. Actually, it's a good story, but I don't have that. That was my biggest accomplishment. My next one is probably the Scoring Kings PSA 10 set, which I don't think anybody else has in the world. I have not met anybody else who has it, but I've got it, so I'm happy about that. And I know you've got the Jordan Scoring Kings in a PSA 10, as do I. BAMs. We talked about the Slam BAMs on tier 1, right? Slam BAMs was serial number to 100. 100. BAMs is 250. 250. So the difference between the 2 cards, like we talked about, you don't see the Slam in the top left or the Slam printed in the bottom right, that refractory, like foily looking Slam word. The BAMs is a little more attainable, obviously a much higher serial number, but still a huge enough card to be considered in tier 2. It is from the Hoops product. So you're pulling these cards out of preposterously cheap packs. I mean, preposterously cheap packs back in the day, the mid 90s.
Yeah, it kind of goes along with that, Starquest Gold in the first one, cheap packs. This card I just picked up 4 months ago at the Mint Collective in Vegas. So I've been collecting Michael Jordan for almost 30 years, and I just picked up this card. I had the Slam BAMs. I kind of went for the harder one first, thinking I can always go back and get a BAMs.
Yeah,
they're not as common as you think. I mean, and I was happy to pick up an 8.5.
Yep.
But it's very refractor finish.
It is
on the front, right? It's it doesn't have that gold tint like the Slam BAMs. Of course, it's missing the word Slam, like you said, and it's numbered to 250 at the top. So,
Josh, I get this question a lot. That's not a refractor, right?
But no, it was not a refractor.
What do we call that in between stuff? Like, it doesn't look like the 86 Fleer paper card, and it doesn't look like the 93 finest refractor, or a Bowman's best refractor, or a true finest refractor.
Yeah, I mean,
it's that in between.
It has a refractor finish.
Okay, it's like it's a refractor finish, but it's not a refractor. I agree. I don't know what to tell people when they ask me, what do you call that? Like Top Crop is another one that I think of, Josh. And I'm like,
a beautiful shine. Yeah, it's got a beautiful shine to it. I mean, not to jump ahead, but like to your point, this has a beautiful shine to it, right?
Not a refractor, but yes, not a paper card either.
Look how shiny it is, and it's it has that refractor type finish to it, but it's not a refractor. So refractors typically, especially after 93, they had a peel. And so you could just whole conversation about whether to peel or not peel.
Yep.
What
are you?
Both.
You're whatever I need. Oh, okay. Hold on a second. You're not actually going out and you don't feel the urge. You have to get a 94 finest with a coating and a 94 finest without, or do you? Oh man, you're worse than me, bro. That's a bad confession.
I have every card with and without peel.
Oh God, I let myself off the hook, man. I'm without peel, so I let myself off the hook with the peel stuff. Let's keep going.
I can go either direction. It's great. I can side with either side with or without the peel. So, I mean, I know the truists believe that with the peel still on is in its original form.
Yeah.
Obviously, without a peel, I think it's prettier. You know, it doesn't distract from the card. I get to the point where if the peel's over his face, I don't want it.
Remind me what the peel says. Remind me what the coating says, Josh.
Protective coating.
What does it say though?
I think it says peel here or protective coating. I'll have
to
pick
remove, right? It says remove. So that's how my OCD lets me off the hook. It says remove it, so I want it with it removed, and I want refractors to refract.
And it would be like damage cards by peeling them because there's no way to just pull a tab, right? You have to like claw at the end of it to peel it off.
Well, I've got a great method actually, and I did a video on it. If you take that not blue painter's tape. Normally in the hobby, we're like blue painter's tape, not Scotch tape. Mm-hmm. But if you tape that that clear, real thick, like masking tape, like shipping tape, and you make it into a circle and then reattach it, and then you put your two fingers in between it, and you press real hard on the corner, press down, not up or back, press real hard on the corner, and then you can, I'm trying to show you, and then you kind of take your hand and then you start to pull back towards the center of the card, you can get that peel started. I didn't know this. And then I started Googling it because I was trying to pull a peel off like a 95 finest refractor or a 94 finest refractor. And I was like, I cannot get this thing started. I've got disgusting fingers. People see it all the time on my channel, no fingernails. And so that tape way works. If anybody's got any questions, DM me about it, but it actually works and you don't damage the card.
Yeah, and then they went to another step in '96 where they had the mystery finest, where they were just black,
the black,
full black picture, and you didn't know what the card was until you peeled it or you saw the back.
You're gonna share. I know you've got one of those weird ones slabbed with the black thing on it, and we're gonna talk. I can't wait to talk about that. There's so much cool stuff in tier 3 and 4. It's gonna be bananas, right? Tier 4 videos are gonna be like 5 hours long because we're gonna be like, what's this? What's that? Where do I find it? All right, let's keep cranking. We're getting long-winded. The Linchpins is bananas. Another one of those punched out cards. Every one of these little nails, and I know somebody out there has counted them, probably Spinatron, but somebody's counted all these little nails that are punched out of the card. Those are actually, like, if you put your hand behind it, you can actually see those things punched out of the card. Let me try to find one. This one is a tough pack odds, Josh, and it's a big-time card in a gym condition. Now you can kind of tell. Those are not black nails. Those are actually, you can see through them. If Josh puts his hand behind that card, you can see kind of his hand, but they're little teeny tiny punch outs. And then you can see them on the back again. And so they're legitimate punch outs.
Yeah, they're little like linchpins. I mean, that's what they are. They're pins.
That's why they're called linchpins. Yeah, linchpins.
Yeah, and, again, I consider this a die cut, even though it's not cut around the edges.
Same.
And I love die cut cards. That's why Noise Boys, Cut Above, and this are probably my favorite ones in this picture.
Why, Josh? Why do you think this is off topic? But why do you think die cut cards aren't as revered and sought after and loved in ultramodern like they were in the 90s? Is there too many of them? Is it just the new breed of collector coming in can't appreciate the stuff that was, so meaningful in the 90s? Is it because it was novel in the 90s and now we've been there, done that, and nobody really thinks much about it?
I think it's kind of a combination of those last two. It's the different breed of collector that's just looking for something shiny that is worth a lot of money in a lot of cases. I don't care if this card was worth $4. I love it. Right, this Lynch card, dude. It really has no meaning to me in terms of value. I love the card. I love the colors, and I just like the picture too. So that and I think it was a novelty at the time. Anything like, especially the platinum portraits and titaniums that we talked about with the holes in them. I don't know if you remember, but back in like 1992 in baseball, they had something called Topps Laser, and they lasered all these crazy intricate die cuts in the card. I love those. They're worth about 50 cents.
Yeah.
And I think they're cool because the technology and the die cuts were so intricate. But obviously, it was novel at the time, and maybe either it isn't now or people just don't appreciate it.
Yeah. We won't take too much time on this one. Just know this card had a crazy run, and we both own this card in PSA 10. Obviously, tough to center. 1 in 11 pack odds. 1 in 11, Josh. How much easier does it get? Right, every 11 pack you open, you get one of these, which means you get on average a shade over 3 of them every time you open up one of those really inexpensive, cheap 1986 Fleer boxes. Funny stories about 1986 Fleer. I talk about it too much on my channel, but they couldn't give the boxes away at the National in 1987. They just couldn't give them away. They were trying to sell them for $12 a box. People were pushing around big old flatbed dollies with hundreds of boxes. People didn't want them. They wanted baseball cards. They wanted Jose Canseco. They wanted Bonds. They wanted Clemens. They wanted Doc Gooden. They did not want MJ rookie cards and rookie stickers. And man, to have a time machine and go back to that National in 1987 would have been something. This card got over $200,000 at one point in a PSA 10 condition. It's a pop of about a third of the 1986 Fleer that we saw in Tier 1. And the reason it's in Tier 2 is just not, it's not his true base rookie card. It's an insert. And Josh, if I'm not mistaken, it's his first insert ever.
Yeah, it is.
Yep. Because I would consider the star cards, like, all those star cards that predated this one, I would consider those subset cards.
Yeah, I remember way back when I was collecting, this card it is a sticker, right? You peel it, and I saw somebody stuck it on a notebook, so I peeled it and just stuck it on a notebook because it wasn't worth anything. There's
no turning back. You can't unstick it and put it back and grade it by PSA. There's no turning back. There's trapper keepers all around the world with this sticker on it. Yep. Next to that, we've got this is a Super Rave, and so this is the Superman Super Rave. Tell me about this card. Serial number 250.
50, yep.
And you can tell, similar to the Platinum Medallion, where the words are kind of bedazzled, like your Platinum Medallion we looked at. Same thing with this lettering, and that's kind of how you can tell the difference between this and the Rave and the base. And so this is a parallel, not a parallel insert, because the Superman was part of the base set, if I'm not mistaken. And so it's a pure parallel. And then there's another parallel called the Rave, which is serial number 399. Which we will talk about in further tiers as we get a little bit lower down. Tier
Rave was silver and the Super Rave are bronze. And that's another way to tell the difference. Besides
the lettering you're talking about. The card's the same, but the lettering. Yeah.
Yep, the lettering on the front, including the thing at the bottom. The thing about this card, again, it does get faked. The numbering on the back is important. The size, the spacing, the bold. I would definitely reach out to someone who knows. Even myself, I have some mutual friends with Brian that know better than I do, so I would not buy this card without having it checked first by someone who really, really understands how to identify a fake. I can do that for 86 Fleer. I cannot do that for this card.
Yeah, and look, here's the deal. We talked about on the first one, the most fake card on the first Tier 1 was the 86 Fleer in the NBA Hoop Starting 5. Josh, if we were going to identify just a trap for the unwary, the most fake cards on here, I'm going to go Cut Above for sure. I'm going to go the Super Rave, no doubt. And then I think we're probably okay after that as far as
those are really the only two that are really badly faked.
Yeah, on this page, those are the two, the Cut Above and then the Super Rave. Now, I'm not saying there's not fakes of these Platinum Medallions because I know people ask those questions often as well. And and the ones that do have serial numbers, that's kind of how you can tell is the print of the serial numbers. Let's get to row 3. Row 3 is awesome, and it's starting with this Profiles 3. This is one of those cards like the Grand Finale we talked about on Tier 1 from SPX that is handwritten numerator and then a pre-printed serial number denominator to 100. Show us yours, Josh. Show us what you've got. I love this. There's tell us.
It again has that about shine this. To it, right? Yeah. That almost refractory shine to it. It is hand numbered, but the like you said, just like the Grand Finale, it has the handwritten numerator and then the printed denominator. So it's a nice card. It's die cut on the top and the bottom.
Interesting die cut. Different. Yeah. Only one like it.
It's not my favorite card, I'll be honest. I like the shine to it. That helps. But it is difficult. The other thing is the writing here is in gold. The writing is in silver on the Profiles 2. This is a Profiles 3. So the actual writing changes colors based on the different profile.
Josh, Profiles 2 is serial number 2,500.
Don't know off the top of my
I
head.
don't know. We're going to get to it, though. We're going to get to it.
We'll get there.
We're going to get there. Right next to it, we've got a card that kind of snuck up on us. Finds its way into tier 2. And there may be people out there that disagree with this card. Some of the OGs may look and say, why do you have that, 98, I think it's 98 Skybox Thunder Rave in there, Super Rave in there. And it's a little bit off the beaten path. It's not the highest demand card, but scarcity puts this card in here. It's serial number 25. So it's a lower serial number than many of the cards that we shared on tier 1. And, of course, Skybox is, one of the greatest products of the 90s. And so for that reason, this one definitely sneaks in here. This Super Rave number to 25. This Superman Super Rave is number to 50. So twice as scarce. Sold 3 times since the year 2016. We've already talked about it a little bit. It's on your target list. It's the one of the 2 cards on this picture that you still need. By the way, do you have any duplicates of anything on here?
I did have the Scoring Kings, 93 Scoring Kings. I sold one at the Mint, and I think I still have one of these.
I need one. So we have to talk after.
So I think I still have a Profiles or I have the Diamond Dimensions. I have one of those and a duplicate.
Okay, I've got the Diamond Dimensions, but if you've got an extra Profiles, please don't forget I need that card. So maybe I can put some more spending cash in your pocket.
Yeah, I have very few duplicates left. So,
well, I'm glad I asked because maybe there's a chance I can knock that one off my bucket list here.
There you go.
The Intimidation Nation. I think this is one of the
you're not sharing.
God, I'm not sharing. I'm so bad at this. The Intimidation Nation. I love the set, Josh. It's a set that I actually tried to collect. I've got that set collector gene. I was going to put the whole thing together and bought a bunch of raw Keith Van Horns and a bunch of raw Antoine Walkers and a couple raw Sean Kemps, and actually graded pretty decently on all those cards. And I decided, you know what, I'm not doing this whole set. And so the Jordan's a big one. Let's talk about the pack odds on this Jordan real quick. Let me sneak out of here. I'm trying to remember. Third row, third card, 1 in 3,600. Pretty damn tough pack odds for that card. I've got the card in a 9.5 slab, if I'm not mistaken. Let's find this bad boy right here. There's my copy of Min Gem, which is my favorite grade, right? You get the Gem, but then you don't pay that crazy premium for the Quad or the Gem Plus. So I love this card. It's a cool card. It's got like fire burning behind him, and you can really see the fire in more detail on the back. I guess that's like fire and flames. At least it looks like.
Yeah, and I like the fact that it's just completely borderless, right? I mean, his face and everything go right up to the edge. So again, a little bit sensitive to chipping or grading. Because it doesn't have any kind of frame and no centering or anything. But yeah, it's a great picture of Jordan.
You know what I've noticed, Josh? This may be the biggest Jordan face on any card out there. But you know what I've noticed is that, see this little Skybox premium foil stamp right here? Those things are susceptible to having the foil pulled off if you open a box now that's been sitting around for 30 years. I mean, we're talking about 30 years now. It'll stick to the card that's in front of it and it'll pull off. And so surface is becoming an issue with this card, not just corners and edges, but surface as well, because that Skybox premium foil stamp thing right there it's easily chipped.
Yeah, because now they're over time, I guess they call it bricking, right?
Bricking.
The cards stick to each other because they're so old, especially with EX and some of the cards that are more plasticky.
Glossy. The glossier cards are the ones that are super susceptible. A lot of Stadium Club products are susceptible to it. A lot of just the glossy stuff, right? Not necessarily high-end glossy, but there's some cheap glossy stuff out there too. But yeah, if you open a pack and it's all in one, that's a brick. That's not good. What do you have any tips on how to address that? I don't know if you ever open 90s. I usually just buy the cards that I want, but I've heard 2 stories. Listen, I had one guy tell me, "Oh, you just take a blow dryer on hot air and blow it against it and do this and that." And then I swear to God, I had another guy say, "Oh, just take it and put it in the freezer." So I've had 2 people tell me temperature matters, but they've told me 2 opposite things to do. I've only read it once. With one box I opened on my channel, it was a 1993 Skybox Premium box, so it wasn't a super expensive box, and they were all stuck together. And I think it was 93. Is that when is Center Stage? I pulled the Center Stage.
Skybox,
yeah, and I've actually got it. Actually, watch this. Keep talking.
Yeah, I think the thing is, I don't know how to take those bricks apart, but very slowly I try to peel them from one edge and see if they're actually going to rip or cause any kind of condition issues.
Look, this is funny. I'll show you. I keep this Right. Okay. So do you see how the paper came off? You see how it's all like the white spots? That's paper loss because this card was stuck to the card in front of it. I keep this on my desk, Josh, every day of my life for years. I keep it on my desk to do what? To remind me, don't buy 90s wax. Just don't buy it, because if you open it and the first pack's bricked, you're just going to hate yourself and you're going to be miserable and it's torture. And now you're like, man, I hope I don't pull a Star Power Supreme because it's going to be all screwed up or whatever. So
or PMG.
Or PMG, although the PMG I'd still do okay. But I keep those cards on my desk to remind myself, don't do it, Brian. Don't do it. If you're going to open up a pack of cards, make sure it's paper cards. And so that's kind of my subtle reminder not to do that anymore. All right, let's get back to our list and keep cranking. Thunder and Lightning, this card glows in the dark. A lot of people don't know that. It does. I know for a fact it does. I used to have it in a BGS 9, and then I was like, you know what? Why do I have this card in a BGS 9? I'm getting rid of it, and I sold it to go get another Jordan card because I was like, I'll just get it in a 9.5 or a PSA 10 later. It's not that easy.
And it shines. It does shine. I'll just say real fast. Yeah. It's a real refractory. You know, it's again not a refractor. Very much rainbow finish to it, and it shines great. So,
have you checked yours to make sure it glows in the dark?
Yeah, I have.
It does, doesn't it?
It does.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Next card is a huge card, unmistakable. I don't know why. Maybe it's because of the little flared fire things, but I kind of consider this one and Cut Above in a similar vein. You know, the Cut Above, you're talking about a 1 in 2,880. The Hot Shots, you're talking about a 1 in 1,800. So not exact, but high, but not impossible pack odds. Both die cut, both intricately die cut, both unmistakable, Jordan cards. What do you know about the Hot Shot? I got the 9.5. I'm assuming you have the 10.
I do, but yeah, it's more die cut, right? It's die cut around the edges. It is very embossed. So I don't know if you can see on the video here, but it's very embossed.
Show the back. That's where you can tell.
So you can see the embossing.
See it? Yeah. It looks like it looks like your card's creased. Oh, I got a damaged card. No, that's just it's the way it was created, the way it was printed. It's very glossy and very embossed, so you can see those indentions. It's a cool card, man.
So it really sticks out. If you rub your fingers over a raw card, you can feel the texture to it. That's something I like about this. Obviously, it's more die cut than the Cut Above, going all the way down to the bottom corners that completely curve. So
Right next to that one, Josh, we've got the High Voltage 500, not to be confused with the High Voltage, which I have. The High Voltage 500, I do not have. Very, very tough card. The High Voltage 500 is allegedly, there are 500 of them out there. I think there is a huge consensus in the hobby that there is not 500 of these bad boys printed. You start talking, and I will explain to people why. It looks like you agree with me. There is not 500 out there.
No, I don't believe there are, and or if they are, they're all stuck in shoeboxes somewhere because nobody knows what they are, and they didn't see the numbering on them. Because if you look at as Brian's going to pull up, the total pop count between Beckett and PSA together, it's so low for a card.
95 have been graded. There's no way.
There's no way less than a fifth of the cards.
There's no way. Not after. Yeah, not after 26 years, Josh. No way, right? Yeah,
right. And there's not that much 97 hoops sitting around unopened.
That's right. Why would it? Yeah, it's not. It's just something happened. They may have stamped 500. They may, obviously, I don't know. I haven't checked all the numerators or whatever, but there's no way they put 500 of these into packs and only 95 have been graded. It's just too low. It doesn't comport and doesn't add up with all the other similarly serial numbered cards. Like if you look at other cards, serial number to 500, go look at the Raves, right? Those are serial number to 399. There's more graded than there are, way more graded Raves than there are High Voltage. It's just not adding up. And as you can see, you got a PSA 10, I'm assuming, one of the four.
I do.
Yeah. Okay. And then the 9.5, there's only 3. So you're talking about 7 gems in the entire world. And you guys get a chance to see the PSA 10.
Yeah, this is it's probably one of the most rare cards. You just don't find it often. So out of tier 2, out of this picture specifically, along with some of the super Raves, I mean, it's just, even though it's numbered to 500 and not 25 or 50, this card is just hard to find. It's got a refractor finish to it again. It's got a lot going for it. It says 500 in the middle.
Cracked ice kind of texture in the back. Not
cracked ice. But... Yep. And, so not too different on the back. The numbering's at the top and the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty card. You know, and it's a kind of unmistakable. Like if you walk past this at a table, you know what it is right away.
If you hold it up next to the high voltage, it's noticeably different. Yeah, no question about it.
And it's that plain shine to it. This has like a cracked ice.
Yeah, the cracked ice is the difference right there. The next one I recently picked up not too long ago, Diamond Dimensions. We're talking about this one, and I'm not sharing. Now I am. I caught it that time. Another hand serial number numerator. Denominator here, the Diamond Dimensions. We'll share mine for a change on here since I actually have it. Another 9.5 grade snob, Min Gem, my favorite grade to go to. Mine's serial number 52 out of 100. You talk about die cut. This one's really die cut, and it's really cool to me. And it's very, very distinct and very different from most of the other die cuts out there. What do you know about this card, Josh? What do you think about this card? Let's see if we can find it on Card Ladder.
Yeah, it's obviously tough to find. There's similar to the profiles. There's different versions of this. This is the Diamond Dimensions. It has I don't know what to call it, almost like creases in it that are made for folding. So I don't know if you can zoom in and see that, but there's lines, horizontal lines going across that actually. Let me see if I can show it on the camera.
What? I had no idea because I've never held mine in hand.
Oh, really? Okay, so. Kind of across the D's, you can kind of see. Let me see if I can. Do you see those lines? Especially on this side, can you see those
I see it now. Yeah, it's about an eighth of the way down the card, or about a sixth. Yeah,
there's two of them here, and there's more at the bottom, right above the.
Josh, I see them. What the hell is up with that?
So those are made to almost like a display box. You fold it and you can set it up.
Please don't.
No,
please don't. I've never ever in my life heard anybody say that. These are the things that I learned from Josh Dawson on the Cajun Cardboard channel. Josh, I had no idea. Like I've got mine. It's in a slab. It's sitting in my. What's the deal? Hold on. Can I see those on? Let me see.
Yeah, so that's kind of.
Oh, I see it. I see it now. Look at the top right there, running right across. You can see it in the diamond right there, and then you can see it again right here. Oh, I'm not sharing. Sorry. Look at this. You can see it right here in the middle of diamond, and then you can see it again on the middle of dimensions all the way across. And then
right above, there's one right above the 28.
Yep, I see it right here, running straight across, right on the top of Jordan's right shoe. And it comes right through
almost
the G.
Like a perforation, I don't know. Like it's made to be stood up.
Well, I'm glad that mine's not stood up. Mine's sitting in a slab. That's wild. And Josh, I never heard that in my entire life. I feel like an idiot.
I mean, little things, right? So
yeah, little bitty things. Okay, and then the Platinum Portraits we talked about, just a monster card. Really tough pack odds. Pack odds on this one's 1 in 4,320, which is other than the Platinum Medallions and the Noise Boys is 4,500. Which one would you rather, Platinum Portraits or Noise Boys?
Probably Platinum.
Yeah.
I mean, Noise Boys is definitely different. I like the die cut, but this is die cut as well.
What's your favorite set from the 90s? If you had to pick a set, and the reason I asked that is because we're talking about mine, the Metal Universe. That 97 Metal Universe is my favorite set. All things considered. Base cards, inserts.
Yeah, base set inserts. I actually like EX. I like the 96 EX.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that first year EX. I think the way they did even their boxes, their packaging, everything was really, out there for the time.
Tell me about this next one. And this is going to be, I think of the 27 cards on here, we talked about this Skybox Thunder, Super Rave. That's obscure. I think this is the most obscure one on here. And it can be confusing and misleading and tricky. We're talking about, and I got to make sure I get this right, the 95 Finest Mystery Orange Refractor Test Issue, number M1. I don't know the pack odds. Do you know the pack odds? Does anybody know the pack odds on this card?
Well, they weren't meant to be released in the packs, so they kind of slipped in. There's supposedly less than 50 of each player made that made it into packs. The reason you can tell is obviously it has an orange border, which is not normal. Yep. It is a refractor, a true refractor.
Show us.
Never came with a peel though. So it didn't have a peel on it. There are none with peels, but it's the big problem with this card, and it's not a problem for the card, but it's really more the slab, is some of them say orange border test issue. Some of them say orange border. Some of them just say test refractor. So if you go into a
Pop report,
PSA,
is it messed up? Is the pop
yeah,
report messed up? Yeah.
pop report's messed up because you have 3 different variations of the same card with different labels.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a problem that it has those different labels that all kind of add up to the same card. So nobody really knows what the pop report is on that card. But yeah, there's supposedly less than 50 of each. I have the Shaquille O'Neal and probably 3 others. I thought about doing like you, like getting a set of 10s of the orange bordered. They're not incredibly hard to find. The Jordan's obviously the hardest.
Yeah.
But you can find them on eBay right now, orange bordered refractors. But again, you're going to see it called test refractor, orange bordered test refractor. So it's labeled a couple different ways.
And look, here's the deal. Like I'm looking at the 2 highest sold ever. This one says test issue. This one doesn't say issue. It just says refractor test.
It doesn't even say orange.
It doesn't even say orange in this one. This one says orange border refractor test issue. So this person covered their ass, right, and included everything. This one doesn't say issue. It's one of those deals where there's not
mystery because it came out of Top's Finest mystery, right? So the mystery pack. I mean, so it should say mystery on it as well. So it's a mystery.
But this one did not have a coating. It did not have the black mystery coating, right? It was just oops, we snuck these in there. And you can see the price on these. You're looking at anywhere from, whatever, depending on your grade, probably $3,000 to $15,000. This one, did we jump the gun? Should this maybe not be in tier 2, or you think it's clearly tier 2?
I think it's tier 2.
Okay.
Because it's rare. And again, we're trying to avoid oddball cards, but this is a prominent card. It's well known. To be honest, without the orange refractor sides, without any border, this card with the big basketball in the background with borderless is my favorite version of that.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that one,
we're going to get to that, and you're going to have to explain that because, look, the Finest got more and more complicated, and I asked a million questions, and the group chat was not on the same page, consensus, what was what. I'm still confused by the pop reports when it comes to those cards around that year, 95, 96, it gets a little bit haywire. And we kind of talked through that the other day, and we're like, wait a second, we forgot a card. We forgot a serial numbered card. Like we forgot it because it was so confusing, and then we recently fixed it and added it. And so you'll see it in just a couple of other episodes. But that's it. Josh, if you had to choose, so we're chasing the Step It Up. Obviously, if anybody's got the Step It Up or the Thunder Super Rave, let Josh know he's a buyer, right? Do you expect to see either one of those cards, the Step It Up Platinum Medallion or the Super Rave at the National?
I hope I can find one of them. It's the 98 Greats is the one I'm missing, actually.
I'm sorry, not Step It Up. Yeah, I'm sorry, 98 Greats. Yeah.
But to be honest, it's my least favorite, not because I don't own it. I would love to own it. It's because out of all the Platinums, it's the one that looks the least like a Platinum. It only has the little word Ultra in the top left that actually has a shimmer to it. Every other one, the Step It Up says Platinum Medallion in that circle right there above the word Step.
Right here.
Yep. The other ones all have, like we talked about, the shimmer to the name or the word. And so those have different backgrounds, right? Silver backgrounds. This is the only one that looks like a base card for $5, other than the word Ultra at the top left has that really shimmer to it. And of course, it's numbered on the back. But
if you see one, are you a buyer? I mean, you're buying if you see it. Either one of those.
Yeah. Especially the bottom one. I think the Super Rave is much more rare, numbered to 25.
Yeah.
Obviously, one came up in December last year, missed it. Had I seen it, I probably would have snapped it up because that card's just really rare. I've never owned one. And they're, like you said, I think 3 have come to market since 2016. So you don't see them. And when you do, grade is really not the concern.
That's not a concern. Yeah, I'm with you. Card most in jeopardy of dropping out of tier 2. Is there any one card in here that doesn't belong with the others? I don't think there is, man. I mean, the closest thing I would say would be the orange test, but only because it's so obscure. There may not be that many people fighting over it. Obviously scarcity, obviously value, obviously aesthetics is awesome on it. So I don't see any cards that are not like the others that don't really belong in here. These are all big-time Tier 2 Jordan cards. Remember, Tier 2 is 54 cards. It's cards number 28 through whatever 54 plus that is. So 62, 72, something like that, 82. So the next 54 after the first 27 through 81, I guess. Tier 2, pain number 1, picture number 1's in the books. Any last thoughts? Anything you want to say about any of these cards?
No, I mean, again, don't always look for the highest grade. I mean, Brian and I are a little bit of grade snobs. We've been doing this a long time. I would say that if you can get these in 7s or 8s or above, they're great long-term investments. I got my stuff when it wasn't popular to have Michael Jordan. But I was a pack rat. I haven't sold along the way, which makes it harder to acquire new things. But if you can find something, again, go for what's appealing to you. You don't have to pick off this list. It could be a $5 card from tier 4. It could be a tier 1, whatever it is in the middle. All of us have cards we want that we can't afford, but there's going to be some that you either haven't seen, you like, you love the aesthetics of it, and go for what you like. That's what I've done, and it's kind of treated me well.
Here's what I regret. Go along the same lines, Josh. And I don't say I regret it, because I can still make moves. But the picture you're looking at, picture you're looking at on your screen, I've got X's on the ones that I own. I went gem mint, 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 gem mint. And if I had just if I had said, you know what, I'm not Josh Dawson, I'm not gonna keep up with this dude. If I had just gone with PSA 8s or BGS 8.5s, I might have 20 to 25 X's on here. But I've let cards pass by me in the past 2.5 years. I won't let them pass by me again. Well, I mean, again, I can't buy every card I see, but you get my point. If a BGS 9 Platinum Medallion Step It Up comes up, I'm on it. I'm grabbing it. And I would not have done that over the last 24 to 36 months because I was so hyper-focused on the gem mints. But it took me time to evolve as a Jordan collector, as a collector, period, to really, truly understand that phrase that we keep hearing people say. And I know it sounds cliche, but buy the card, not the grade. If you can buy the card and the grade, do it. Great. That's great. But with the types of cards that we're talking about in tier 1 and even in tier 2, you just can't, if you wait and you let PSA 8 go by, BGS 9 go by, BGS 8.5 go by, that 9.5, man, that may not come out of the weeds in the next 5 years. It just may not happen. It may not even exist in the case above,
I think it's also, tier 4, it's a lot easier to attain a 10 than it is in tier 2, right? In tier 2, if I find that Super Raven as 6, I'll buy it.
Yeah, no
question. It
question.
doesn't really matter. Obviously, I prefer an 8, but beggars can't be choosers.
No question. So that being said, don't let our great snobbery influence you, people, right? Do your own thing. Buy the cards you love. Buy the cards you like. We're not telling you to go buy these tier 2 cards. We're simply sharing it with you, and we're going to work our way down. This is the second out of 12 pictures of 27 cards. So we're 1/6 of the way through these videos. Hopefully you guys are enjoying them. Josh is along for the ride, for the long haul. We're going to try to get maybe one of these out a week, maybe 2 in some weeks to kind of push through this. But to be honest with you, Josh, confession, I've still got work to do on finalizing the spreadsheets with the pack odds and the serial numbers for a lot of the tier 4 cards. And so I'm still working while we're doing these videos, and you know that as well. And I'm moving cards around in the lower tiers to make sure we get it as accurate as possible. So, Josh, thanks for joining us again. Episode number, the third video, but the second episode with you joining us on the Cajun Cardboard channel. Thank you guys for watching. Keep collecting, stay positive in the hobby, and we'll chat again next week about the second half of tier 2. And peace.
All right, thank you.